Welcome to Mindless Entertainment. God Empress Jessie Milestone here again with more Patreon suggestions. Like I said, just gonna keep that ball rolling along. Today's suggestion comes from Laura Story. Laura, who is also an awesome contributor on the Super Chat land all of the time forever, so I just wanted to mention that because when we do live stream, Super Chats make us feel good. So thanks, Laura, for all that, and thanks for being one of my patrons. That's also super cool and makes me feel really good, too. And so I'm going to talk about the thing you wanted me to talk about today. So Laura asked about, you know, because I've mentioned that and whatnot, so she wanted to know what are the best sword fights in the movies. Now, I could talk endlessly about many, many different movies with many, many different sword fights, but I feel like that'd be stepping on the toes of a good friend of mine. By good friend of mine, I mean someone who lives in England and I talk to sometimes, who's also a patron, by the way, Alex Leithes. Alex Leithes is making a video series of his own, actually, and it's the top 10 sword fights in movies. He started with sort of a teaser video about a really awesome fencing dude, and then he just put out his very, very first one. It's Errol Flynn's Robin Hood. Fantastic video. I am going to send those links. I'm going to put those links down below here because if that's a topic you really want to hear a lot of fun, in-depth commentary on from someone with a really, really cool British accent, I'm going to send you Alex Leithes for some of that stuff. Seriously, I really enjoyed watching his analysis. This guy has been a fencer as well. He knows his stuff. He knows his movies. So 100% his analysis, spot on. His takes are great. So if you want to know a lot, and he talks about a lot of old movies too, and he has some really great takes about old movies and some really great commentary because he does a little film analysis in there as well. Super fun video to watch. I can't wait for the rest of his series. So for some serious in-depth sword fighting in the films, I'm going to direct you to Alex Leithes. But I will talk to you about what I think is the #1, and we'll see if he covers this in his top 10 list. My #1, most realistic, because that's specifically, we want most realistic sword fighting. For me, the #1 sword fight I always go to, and I have to, it's what inspired me to be a fencer. It's just, for me, one of those incredible movies of all time, is The Princess Bride. Of course. I mean, and you're talking, so Princess Bride is one of the many great feats of Bob Anderson. Bob Anderson is, of course, one of the top, he passed away just a few years ago, but he was one of the top fight choreographers forever, as well as an excellent fencer. So he really brought that fencing background into what he did, and brought care and love and attention to detail, which is just magnificent. Now, if you know things about The Princess Bride like I do, you also know that these were not stunt doubles, these were the actors doing this fight scene and how much they practiced. Just endlessly in order to get this right, and it shows. It shows. It's not, you know, when you watch the footwork, it's not like the world's most perfectly aligned footwork for fencing ever, but it's all very correct. The blade work, I love how clear, and that's one of the things, and that's what you get from practice too, why The Princess Bride is is just, to me, the all-time best sword fight, is, you have the things on the one side of the spectrum, the Errol Flynn, fights where there's a lot of, and sometimes Errol Flynn gets into this stuff in the middle there, right, but when he doesn't, his better sword fights still have a lot of telegraphing, which is important for stage, certain amount of telegraphing is important for stage combat, but then the flip side of that is, you have, some of the fights, in other movies that aren't as great, and I actually really think like Mask of Zorro for me unfortunately falls a little short of the mark when it comes to quality sword fight, as much as I love that movie and do enjoy the fight scenes. And then some other lesser sword fighting movies, some of like the Disney Three Musketeers is okay but falls in this trap a little bit where no one ever really looks like they're trying to hit each other. They just kind of like hit the space in front, and that's even more egregious to me than the big telegraphing hitting the space near you, right, is they're just kind of hitting the space in front of each other. Even if they're going back and forth a little bit, no one ever looks like they're in danger. And so for me, The Princess Bride is so friggin' wonderful because they're these tight, concise movements for a lot of it. And they've rehearsed this so well. The timing is down pat, you know. You don't have these moments of like, I'm gonna swing, better get ready for your parry, or you have him already in the parry position, like, oh, yep, waiting for the swing to come in. They're just, the timing of the dance of it is so beautifully done that it's just like, doop, 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 doop. It looks real. It looks like I am initiating my attack, and when I initiate, you read my attack, and you make the proper response, which is really hard to do and make it look good. I love the way they go all over. I love, of course, the banter that happens during it, the whole right-handed, left-handed, and that, like, it is not easy to fight with your non-dominant hand. So the way they make that, I mean, the amount of practice that went into being able to do both of those things equally good on the right and the left side is unbelievable. And that's what it is at the end of the day. Like, as a fencer and as someone who's done stage combat and choreography and has taught people how to do some of that stuff with blades as well, I cannot understate practice. And that makes all the difference in the world. You can deliver the world's best performance and be flashy and whatnot, and if you didn't rehearse that thing until you knew it in your sleep, it's gonna come across. It's gonna be obvious. It's gonna look sloppy. It's not gonna be perfect. And it just there's just that the tightness of all of it that to me, I don't know. It's just always, I've always wanted to recreate it. I've always wanted to redo it somewhere. That's a dream of mine. That's a huge dream of mine to do that one day. I also like how they actually are talking about real swordsmen of the era, like and who had their versions, like who had their schools of thought, like Bonetti and Agrippa and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like a sword fighter's wet dream. That's what that scene is. It's so fun because that pacing, again, that type of pacing that works with the tempo, with the music. You can even see it at the end of the Count Rugen fight where it's like dun 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 dun, like the just dun 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 dun. It's so in rhythm. That to me is like, that's where it's fun, and that's where it's so fun when sword fighting it preserves its art but departs from the realism, because it has to a certain extent. The actual sword fighting in real life is much clumsier because because you're just doing everything you can to not get hit. Why I love The Princess Bride is, I'm sorry, I'm like all over the place. I'm just fangirling over this movie here right now. That's just what I do. I love the fact that it's a back and forth, that it's always a parry and a repost. It's never like I'm swinging at you multiple times in a row and nothing's happening. We're trading blows. The back, forth, I trade blows, we trade blows. You try to hit me, I try to hit you, you try to hit me, I try to hit you. I stopped you from hitting me, great, now I have the advantage because I've cleared open your target to go hit you. So the fact that they do that, I really, really enjoy. But then just like the discipline that it takes to be able to just go parry, 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 like the difficulty of that. And again, that's where it departs from realism, is no one's ever gonna be that accurate 100% of the time. Now, in that type of quarters and that type of fighting, it can be easier because it's a little more obvious, right? You're not seeing feints in this, because feints are the easy way to win fights. Like, that's, if you do a successful feint, you hit the other person and they die. Like, that's what, it's actually, well, I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but there's a great use of a feint sorry, so many patrons. In Alex Leith's video, there's a great example of a feint in the one he just broke down. Yeah, so you don't see feints so much in these movies, because if feinting at that distance, it's basically like you killed them. I feinted, I pretend to hit you somewhere, you reacted, great, now I'm actually hitting you somewhere else. That's the whole point of a feint, right? It's that it succeeds at duping them, and then they die. So you're taking some of those elements out, and those are just necessary. You do execute a proper feint, fight's over. So you're never gonna have that 100%. That would be kind of fun. It would be really interesting to me, and maybe this is a project, I don't know, maybe you guys, let me know if you think this is something that'd be cool, is what if I took people, actors, wrote a script of something, whatever, and had a sword fight in it, and just took people who knew how to fence or something-ish, and had some sort of background in it, and just, like, had them try to fight, and just see what it looks like. Let's see if we can make something pretty, keep that in mind, keep your stage presence in mind, and make it stylized, and make it cool, but, I wonder what it would look like if you were like, no, we're actually going to try to hit each other. This is a fight where we're going to try to hit each other, and that's how it's going to be. And when someone delivers a killing blow, the other person is then dead, and we move on from there. That'd be fun. That'd be interesting. You guys want to see that? I would be interested to see how that plays and how that reads. Because also that's a thing that people don't think about. Even really fast sword fights, that is a fraction of a speed that they go in real life. Like in real life sword fighting, the whole point is being the quickest to the target, so it moves a lot faster. But the point is, The Princess Bride. you want the best sword fight that's been put on a screen, it's The Princess Bride. I will hear no dissent. But if you guys want to tell me about the ones you like, Laura, if you have any that you enjoy particularly, but otherwise, guys, if you want more in-depth coverage on that subject, Alex Leithes, I'm going to post a link to his channel below, is doing the most in-depth reviews, some of my favorite reviews that I've seen, and it's not just because he talks with an amazing British accent. So go check that out. I'll be back with more videos very, very soon, because that's what I do.